Hey there, you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. Here's your host, RJ Carbone.
And a high drive in the left center field. Stanley's going to watch another one fly. Are you kidding me? DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a
Take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody.
At the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! Mr. Nova.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down and the game is tied.
Rose, you shook up the world again.
I did it again. My God did it, man. I really just had
Gonna have to. Bronson running away. Oh my! He has been the best player to put on that uniform.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
All right. Well, this was finally a win that felt fun. They're on a 3-game win streak, but the last couple of ones, especially the Nets game, it just felt more exhausting than anything. But this was finally a win where you really can't complain much about this. It was fun all across the board. A lot of guys contributed. OG Anunoby drops 33 points. I'll have his random nights of explosion. Mikal Bridges as inconsistent as he's been. 27 points. Brunson with an efficient 25 points. He's been going from downtown recently. Josh Hart with another absurd 20 points, 18 rebounds, 11 assists. Karl Anthony Towns, 18 points, 15 rebounds. A little bit concerned now. This 3-point shooting, he's scared to take them. He's not making them. Is the thumb a bigger issue than a lot of people thought? But, they played good ball. Shamet was hot. The Knicks win this game 143-120 against the Kings at Madison Square Garden a couple of nights ago. It's Monday morning as I'm recording this. I'm a little late. But nice to get their third win in a row. They are now, first of all, it's their 30th win of the season. And they're officially 2 games back of the Boston Celtics, if you care about that. But, yeah, not much to complain about. Like, I thought Tibbs' rotation was fine. He ran a full 8-man. Everybody played double-figure minutes. That was good. He got everybody in there. Campaign played 10 minutes. Shamet, 13 minutes. Deuce got less than usual, but he struggled. Hart played 40, but everybody else was around 35 or less in the starting lineup. I like that Mikal Bridges. Bridges was the first Knick to sub out. He subbed out for Deuce with about 6 minutes and change. And this was so he could go back out there on the floor with Towns early second quarter, which he eventually did. Towns subbed out 2 minutes after Mikal, and they both came back in with about 10 minutes or so in the second quarter. And I like that Tibbs also avoided those OG Precious Josh Hart lineups. Defensively, I liked some things. I liked that the Knicks were focused on the 3-point line. Now the Kings were playing very fast, and that gave the Knicks some issues in transition, but they were conceding 2s over 3s. I thought it was, I don't want to say smart because I feel like that's giving them too much credit, but they were helping off of DeRozan from the 3-point line, which is something you need to do, and they weren't over-helping on his post-ups or isolations or anything like that. I thought OG did a nice job on him. I thought Precious gave the Knicks some good minutes there. But there were still some bad defensive things like help issues and drop coverage issues, which we'll get into. But offensively, I loved what I saw. And to score 143 points, now the Kings defense isn't good. It's I think right behind the Knicks at 16. But it was nice to see them do what they're supposed to do against a below average defense. They torched the Kings and drop, switch, exploited their help. They busted their zone. That was, one of the things I noticed early on was the Knicks really did a nice job punishing the Kings' zone defense. Just doing a really good job using the wings and the corners and also cutting in the middle of the court, right? That's how you bust a zone. Use the corners, flash middle, find cutters. A couple of times there late in the first quarter, you had Sacramento in a zone, but the Knicks were able to beat it. There was a possession where the Knicks got the ball to Josh Hart on the right wing. Hart drives the empty space with Carter trying not to leave his zone. He's trying to watch Shamet in the corner. Hart gets an easy lane. There was another possession where you have a Deuce Precious side pick and roll. Deuce finds Cam on the wing. That forces the corner defender to step up to Cam, and again, Shamet's open on the corner for a knockdown three. There was another possession where it led to an OG basket where Cam's got the ball on the left elbow three. OG Anunoby flashes middle to the nail. Precious is coming up, so the big clears. Cam goes to OG for an easy cutting dunk. So they were able to really exploit that zone defense. Remember, man, even just in recent years with Tom Thibodeau teams, let me take a sip. Even in recent seasons with Tibbs teams, the Knicks have had issues busting zone. But now with this new look offense that centers around 5-out spacing and cutting and facilitating, they have a high octane ability to cut, space, shoot, and pass and utilize screening. And they've been busting all different types of coverages, obviously aggressive coverages, switching coverages, especially from top-tier defenses. They've still got to figure some things out, countering and things like that. But this was an easy offensive night for them. And Landry Shamet going to go to the bench and hand him the game ball from off the bench. Because, again, I thought he was the best Knick in terms of busting zone with his corner three-point shooting. He finishes the game 9 points, 3 for 5 from 3. It was nice to see him finally knock a couple down. But he gave the Knicks some really good minutes early on where he was hot in that first and second quarter. So Landry Shamet has obviously struggled for the Knicks this year. Not a guy who's been a consistent rotational player. Sometimes he'll have games where he racks up multiple DMPs. And then, you'll have games like over the last week or so where Tibbs reinserts him back into the rotation. And I thought he did his job last night or the other night. So it was nice to see. 3 game balls now in the year for Shamet. I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. It was just a nice performance from him, helping bust that zone. And the Knicks, really good overall, just exploiting Sacramento in switching and exploiting their help coverages. First quarter, a number of baskets there. There was a possession with about 8.5 left. The Knicks exploit the Kings' help defense where you've got a Brunson Towns empty side pick and roll with Mikal and OGs as your spacers on the weak side wing. Sacramento, they help off Mikal because of Brunson and Towns' pick and roll gravity, and now Brunson hits Mikal for a wing 3. The next time down, the Knicks take advantage of the Kings' poor switching and help in transition where McHale slips an early screen to get the switch, and he draws help off of a cutting OG weak side. He finds OG from that short corner dunk. And I think the next time down after that, the Knicks punish the Kings switching with an action out of a pistol set where you get a Towns handoff to Brunson. That gets the switch they want. Now Brunson goes down to Towns to post the small. Towns gets off an easy hook against the small. Basket's good. Early second quarter, the Knicks exploit the Kings and help again, where Brunson posts Carter with Murray and low man help off Mikal Bridges on the corner. Deuce, who's next to Mikal, screens his own man, and Murray reads that, calls for the switch, but there was no switch, or the switch was very late, and now Mikal gets an open catch-and-shoot corner three-point look. Middle of the second quarter, the Knicks punish the Kings in help, where OG's on the weak side corner with Mikal one pass away above the break. Brunson makes a skip pass to OG. Mikal cuts down to draw help off of OG, and now OG drives the late closeout. And the Knicks put the Kings in rotation from there, and I think it eventually results in a Brunson floater. Go to the second half, you had a couple of possessions in the third quarter where the Knicks, there was one early in the period. They took advantage of the Kings trying to pre-switch in action. Brunson's up top with the ball. Sabonis calls for a pre-switch to put Monk to Towns so he could stay at the basket. And that opens up Josh Hart, who was one pass away above the break. Hart now has the clear driving lane with Monk removed from the gap because he's on that Brunson-Towns pick and roll. And Hart makes a driving kick pass into open space to Mikal, who's spacing on the weak side corner. And Mikal knocks down the open three. 5 minutes left in the third quarter. I thought there was a possession where the Knicks did a really nice job exploiting the Kings in help coverage. You got Brunson with the ball on the wing. OG's on the weak side corner with Sabonis helping off of him. Hart makes that read. He reads the help and directs Brunson to swing the ball around the perimeter to get to OG. The ball swings to OG eventually, and OG drives Sabonis' closeout for an easy dunk. So just a really good job exploiting bad help and switching with proper spacing, cutting, passing, and shooting, and just making very effective reads on the defense in this game. And I thought OG Anunoby was a big part of that all. OG finishes this game with 33 points. Shoots 12 for 18 from the floor, 4 for 7 from 3, 5 for 6 at the foul line. I thought he was great two-way impact in this game from OG. Defensively, I thought he did a really nice job helping off DeRozan, and he did a really nice job on the ball when he was on an island. Offensively, again, you'll get these random explosions from him. You wish it was a little more consistent. But, he made the interesting comments that he made post-game about how he's not gotten consistent touches this year. It was nothing crazy. But that's going to happen over the course of a season where this is a new team that's being assembled, right? They're still trying to find a balance, who gets these many reps on this certain night. And Brunson, it's tough to find that balance with. You got two guys who are one of the more deadly pick and roll, pick and pop tandems in the league. And, even Mikal Bridges, you would like to see him on pick and roll more, but it's hard to find that balance right now. So you're going to have times over the course of the season where you feel like you're not exactly getting the amount of touches you'd like. And OG is just, as a role player, he's not going to be one of those guys who's consistently involved. It was a good game for Anunoby. I just want to see him stay aggressive on that end, and maybe getting him some more early touches in games can help find that consistency. I want to touch a little bit about the defense because they did give up 120, and we'll do that when we return from break. here on episode 780 of BD4. Stay with us. We'll be right back. BD4 is available on social media for those who want to follow. You can find BD4 on Instagram at BD4Pod. You can find us on X at BD4Pod. And you can find us on Facebook by simply searching BD4. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, this podcast is also available in video format on YouTube. So be sure to go over to the YouTube channel, BD4, subscribe, like the videos, comment, and tell me how much I suck or maybe how much you like the video. We'd very much appreciate it. Don't have time to sit down and watch a video? You can listen to BD4 on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And you can also watch the video format on Spotify too. If you feel like supporting the podcast, you can Venmo at Robert-Carbone-JR-28. We really appreciate your support. All right. Welcome back to the show, episode 790. Did I say 80 before? I might have. 790 of BD4. We're coming up on 800. The Knicks win 143-120 over the Kings at the Garden on Saturday night. Forget. It's a couple days later now. There were some issues defensively. Now, the Kings are a very fast-paced, high-tempo team. They like to push, and that was giving the Knicks some problems. But even in the half court, when both teams were able to settle in, the Knicks had some problems, and Malik Monk went off for 31-9 on Saturday, and in the second quarter in particular, he torched the Knicks in pick and roll with 18 points. And the Knicks had Josh Hart at the point of attack on those pick and rolls because he was on Malik, and they were playing Towns in a drop still. And they didn't make adjustments, and they were consistently burnt. Sticking with drop coverage, they were consistently burnt. You know, the same exact way, over and over and over, the Kings were spamming those Monk-Sabonis pick and rolls. It started in the middle of the period where, it was the same thing. I could read the specific possessions here, but Hart he gets caught behind off of a Sabonis screen, cats in drop, and Malik Monk pulls for an 18-footer. A minute later, the same exact thing. Hart's caught behind on an empty side pick and roll. Monk gets an easy floater over cat and drop with way too much space. Less than 4 minutes left in the period. Hart's caught behind in DHO. Cat's in drop. Monk gets an easy lane for a floater. With 2 minutes left in the period, Hart is way behind off of a Sabonis screen up top. Monk steps back with cat and drop to create even more space. Hart's late on the recovery. Monk knocks down another 18-footer. And it was just time and time again spamming those pick and rolls. And that's been a problem all year, man, that the Knicks have yet to figure out, which is why I don't think this team's going to win a championship this year. Whether it's with Mikal Bridges at the point of attack or whether it's Josh Hart in the action, whoever's the guy who's fighting over, it's been giving the Knicks problems all year. They've consistently failed to get stops at the point of attack, fighting over the top, just not being able to stay attached or chasing behind the hips. And now that leaves Towns in a tough position where he's very vulnerable because he's got to keep an eye on both ball and man, right? He's got to play two. And that's if the Knicks don't send help. If they do send help, that's great, but now you're forced into rotation potentially off the kick out. So it's a tricky situation, but it all starts up top at the point of attack, and that's where the Knicks have been getting the most burnt defensively all season. So it's a covers the Knicks go to because Tibbs is comfortable keeping Towns near the basket. He wants him there for rebounding. He wants him there to prevent easy pathways to the rim. And if we're playing him in aggressive coverage up at the level, it's a taxing coverage for a guy who logs 40 minutes every night. So that's the way the Knicks feel their defense needs to be primarily. And to be honest, with the personnel this team has, there's no perfect coverage. Would I like to see him mix it up more? Of course, we've talked about this all year. But to me, it just starts with the Knick wing defenders and them having to be a lot better at the POA. So they were torched a little bit there by Malik Monk. But overall, man, again, the offense got the job done in this game. The Knicks were able to dish out 40 assists. I mean, that's pretty friggin' impressive. You never saw that in the past. 40 assists and only 11 turnovers off those assists. It's impressive. Or off those passes. So it was a good offensive performance. The defense is what else can you say about it? But up next for your New York Knicks, they've got the Memphis Grizzlies. So the homestand continues with the Grizzlies tonight. I believe it's a 7:30 game at the Garden. It's a good test, man. Let's go. They're right back in the thick of it with the win. They can start building again because this is a team that is a top 3 seed. I think they're right there for 2. And we know the Knicks are 0-5 against top 2 seeds this year. But the Grizzlies are right there. They are 5th in offense, 6th in defense. They're a long team with a lot of wingspan, I believe. So I'm pretty sure they like to do a lot of switching, which is good. I'm curious to see how they play Towns and Hart, who they throw on them. Do they put their wing to Towns again and force the Knicks to have to counter with Hart? And if that's the case, if Hart's got a big on him, then you have to use him into the action. Screen with him, initiate pick and roll with him, get that big out of the paint. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. But Memphis tonight, and then after that, you've got 3 more games on this homestand where you have Denver after to wrap up the month of January. And then the first couple of games in February, you conclude the homestand with the Lakers and the Rockets, another top team in Houston there. A team that's given the Knicks issues with their defense. But got to conquer Memphis tonight. If they can beat Memphis, that's a pretty good win. I think it'll have a lot of people feeling a little bit more optimistic. And so with that said, let's head to our final break. And then when we get back, we'll wrap this up with our trivia question. And that will be that. Stay with us here on episode 790 of BD4. Be right back. Do you enjoy Yankees baseball but are tired of hearing me yap? I have a suggestion for you. Go check out Yankee Crazy Podcast. Greg Gill is a Yankees podcaster on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and he's now selling merch. Go to yankeecrazy.myshopify.com. Stay connected with us. Visit BD4blog.com to explore our blog, tune into our latest podcasts, and follow us on social media. Thank you for being a part of this community. Okay, welcome back to the show, episode 790 of the podcast. Welcome to BD4. I appreciate you all for tuning in. We're going to wrap it up here with our trivia question. Let's do that. All right. So for this episode episode 790 of BD4. Our trivia question: which Knick hit a game-winning shot at the buzzer in a 1993 playoff game against the Kings? All right, which Knick hit a game-winning shot at the buzzer in a 1993 playoff game against the Kings? Let me know the answer. Appreciate you all. Episode 790 is in the books. We're going to wrap it up right here, about 25 minutes in. I'll see you all soon. Thanks. Well, if you made it this far, that means you listened to or watched the entire episode. Thank you. Just remember to follow, subscribe, download, rate and review, and all that fun stuff to help out the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4.